Welcome back, everybody. Thanksgiving is officially behind us. The decorations are going up and Christmas season is in full swing. But along with the festivities comes something a little less cheerful. Peak season for flu, COVID-19, and RSV. Every year, it seems like more and more people get knocked out right when they want to be celebrating with family, traveling, shopping, enjoying time off. So how can you protect yourself this Christmas season? Joining us now is world-renowned doctor and chief scientific officer at the Wellness Company. He's also the author of the book Vaccines, Mythology, Ideology, and Reality, which you should go pick up for Christmas. Dr. Peter McCullough. Dr. McCullough, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Well, we learned something a little bit disturbing over the weekend, something that a lot of people had a fair amount of intuition and antennas about, children that died from the COVID vaccine. Tell us how this came out and why it really flew under the radar. It was a bizarre rollout of this information.
Since 2021, reports in the peer-reviewed literature of autopsy-proven COVID vaccine deaths in children have been published. In fact, one by Gill and colleagues, 2 teenagers after their second shot of Pfizer. I mean, these are clear-cut published cases. Now the CDC, over the holiday, from a leaked memo, says that they knew about 10 deaths that were, they're sure, is due to the COVID-19 vaccine among children of, among 96 reports of death that they had. And to clarify, this is the FDA, not the CDC. So a leaked memo out over the holidays, no press release, no call for independent evaluation, no call to pause the vaccines. They're still on the childhood schedule down to babies 6 months of age if they have some additional medical problems. This is a very bizarre turn in this entire vaccine debacle.
So, Doctor, what would be the right, proper next step? Not sure that the government will take it, but given what we know now about the risk of children, 96 reported deaths, 10 confirmed, and there's probably more in the literature that I've read even. What should RFK Jr. do based on this memo that came out this weekend?
Well, the CDC has, as my last check on the vaccine adverse reporting system, they've got 19,480 deaths after the vaccine, a couple thousand that occur right after the shot. I mean, the only thing to do is to suspend all of these vaccines. If there was 10 deaths with a pediatric drug, immediately that drug would be recalled and it would be pulled off the market and there'd be an investigation. This is really the first concession that the U.S. FDA has had on what the public has watched since 2021. So I think the quick action steps are pause the vaccines, pull them off the market, get an independent review committee together. It's not FDA, not CDC. We're talking about independent scientists and doctors who can review all of these cases. Read the vignettes. Remember, when the CDC gets a VAERS report, they have the patient's email, phone number, address, the doctor. They have a ton of information. All the patients, the families of the deceased, they should be interviewed to figure out what went on, and Americans deserve the truth.
Yeah. Dr. McCullough, we have talked for years with you about how the COVID vaccine created even more skepticism surrounding all vaccines, not just the COVID vaccine. In light of this information, when this information goes widespread, do you anticipate that parents, Americans in general, even if they're not parents, are going to be calling for the revelation of further studies with other vaccines as well?
They will, for sure. And I think we're seeing now cracks in the dam. I just finished talking with someone who's a real expert in autism himself, and he just had a baby. And he said, listen, he said, I got my baby out of the pediatric office, no vaccines. He said, I've seen enough. And I think a lot of parents have said they've seen enough. There's too much uncertainty, that we need now a full overhaul of this approach that we've taken with vaccines. The previous approach was just keep taking more. More is better than the prior year. I think we've reached a breaking point. I think it's here.
Yeah. So one of the things that is obvious is that myocarditis was really known for quite some time, and yet no one was sounding the alarm bells for 2 or 3 years. Why would such strong signals of a potential adverse event or effect from the vaccine buried? Who was burying them? Why were they burying it? Because it seems like it's antithetical to the medical profession's responsibilities.
We looked at all the documents, John, in the U.S. Senate, Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, the Permanent Committee on Investigations. On May 21st, 2025, we had our deliberations. We produced a report. This was Senator Ron Johnson, Richard Blumenthal. We concluded that the public health agencies and the White House covered it up. They covered up the safety concerns on myocarditis because they were afraid that it would dissuade people from taking the vaccine. It was an intentional government cover-up, and it started early in 2021.
Misinformed consent.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So many questions Americans still have. Dr. Peter McCullough, we love having you here. Thanks.